Hey guys, how y'all doing and welcome back to the channel. My name's David and I fix RVs for a living. Making this video as we're calling this an update video. This is basically for my subscribers. If you're not a subscriber, well, let's face it, you probably didn't even click on this video because you don't know who I am and you don't care how I'm doing. But if you are a subscriber, you might be wondering if I'm still fixing RVs, and the answer is yes. I do still fix RVs for a living, and the reason you might be asking that question is because I have not uploaded any videos for about 3 months. And the reason that is, and I know everybody has an excuse, but my excuse is because of the summer rush. You know, it got really busy and I panicked. I just didn't have time to film videos. Last year I spent a lot of time working on RV furnaces on my tailgate, you know, in the snow and the rain and the cold, and it was just, you know, I spent a lot of days, you know, where I was miserable. I mean, it was still fun because this is a newer business and I was having fun, you know, fixing these appliances. But this year I decided to put up, as I'm showing you right now, this 20 by 12 tent. You know, I've installed a furnace in here. It's a really nice furnace, actually. Dometic makes this furnace, but it's not your standard 12 volt. This is a 120 volt furnace. It's plugged into a 120 volt outlet, and it runs on propane. And even though this is a tent, that furnace heats this tent up in about 10 minutes. It'll cook you right out of here. Originally, I was just going to have this thing set up with the wires, you know, thermostat just wire nutted straight through so it could stay on. Because it's a tent, I figured the heat would escape just about as quick as it came in, but turns out that was not the case. That thing is so powerful, I did have to install a thermostat right over here just to make sure it turns on and off, because this furnace will cook you right out of here. I love the fact that it's a 120 volt furnace, and it's got a super powerful motor. In fact, it's got a, you know, it's kind of like an air conditioner. It has a capacitor to get the motor going, because the motor is so big. But if the power ever goes out, I'm going to lose my 120 volt. That's one of the advantages, actually, to the 12 volt furnaces, is if the power goes out, you can still run off of your battery. With this furnace, if the power goes out, I'll lose my furnace. So I might get a 12 volt furnace as well to sit, you know, right next to it. And right now I've got a battery over here. This is actually a battery that I got out of this battery is temporary. It's out of a Mercedes Sprinter van. I had a guy who called me because this battery was not taking a charge. He wasn't able to start his Mercedes Sprinter van with it. So he sent me a photo of the battery. Sorry. And I went to the auto parts store, picked up a new battery, and I went out there to install it for him. You know, I did that. I installed the new battery for him. I pulled this one out, put the new one in. And the connections on this battery were really dirty, so my hopes were that, you know, maybe, you know, just the dirty connections were the only problem, and that this was still a good battery. So I brought it home, and I mean, I can get a $24 core charge on this from the auto parts store, and I am going to do that. Because I brought it home and I put it on the charger. I left it on the charger all night. It fully charged overnight. Then in the morning, I used my load tester over here to test the battery, and it failed the load test. But, you know, it's still good enough to power my lights. I've got this, you know, bench over here that I set up. I actually went shopping at it's kind of like a secondhand store, but they've got, like, you know, appliances and household products and stuff like that. And I bought this table here, and I bought this over here. You know, it's got some holes in it. And the reason I like these holes is because I was able to, you know, run wires through here and, you know, just kind of string them through the holes, so I didn't have to tie strap a whole lot of stuff. And that made it pretty easy to set up my testing center over here. This outlet here is live all the time. This is for charging cell phones, and it keeps my JBL Bluetooth speaker going. And then I've got a switch here. This turns on the lights in the second half of this. So I put some LED lights up here. I think I've got 8 of them that I bought off of Amazon. Well, one of them didn't work, the one that is supposed to go right there. it's right there right now. I did fix it. I just need to get that installed, you know, so it'll be a, you know, nice straight line of lights over there. I want to put more up there too, but I mean, it's just tent up there. There's nothing really to attach to, because I mean, I would love to have a drop light that just hangs like right over this area. This is where I will be working on RV appliances in the winter. You know, I'm not going to get cold this winter, obviously, because of that furnace. The way I've got this set up here is this is always, you know, on. And then I've got a meter here, you know, so I know how my battery's doing. And this switch actually turns on this outlet, which is what I'm, you know, was currently using for testing appliances. I just finished working on this furnace here. We'll turn this on here just by holding these wires together. I picked up this furnace a couple days ago, but you know what was going on with it is that the motor was seized, and I thought that I was going to have to put a brand new motor into it, but it turns out that inside there's a combustion wheel right inside there. Well, somehow the clamp came loose and it got wedged all the way against the left-hand side, so the motor could not spin. As soon as you turn the thermostat on, it would just pop the fuse. But yeah, so I loosened that up with an Allen wrench and moved it to the center of the chamber there, and as you can hear now, it's spinning. You know, the motor is turning, so I didn't even have to buy any parts to fix this one. This, I've already tested this. Right now that propane tank is turned off. It's not igniting. That's why it's not igniting. It's because the tank is turned off. But this is actually the first RV appliance that I have repaired inside of my new tent. And this battery is going to go back. Like I said, I'm going to get my $24 cord charge out of it. I just wanted to show you guys these terminals here that I picked up at O'Reilly's. They've got all these extra connections on here that, you know, you just use an Allen wrench. I'll show it to you right here to, you know, add stuff to it. I actually went to the auto parts store. I was looking for a bus bar or just something, because I knew I was going to have to add a lot of wires to my battery. And I'd never seen this before, but I walked into the store and I ran into this, and I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what I need. And then check this out. It even has like a disconnect too. Like you can, you know, just flip that lever so you don't need to even use any tools. And then you can just lift your cable right off of here. Quick disconnect. This thing's awesome. I love it. Positive and a negative, and it was cheap. I think it was less than 20 bucks for both of them. And so the day that I set this tent up, or the day that I put together the frame, was by far the windiest day of the year. I mean, I would just lay these tarps out and they were just like blowing everywhere. It was very difficult to set this tent up. I got it done, but you know, because it was so windy, I was able to, you know, see how, you know, these tarps are just like flapping back and forth in the wind. So I watched some YouTube videos to see how some people were combating that, and what they were doing is they were putting like this right here, like, let me get that to focus. That doesn't even want to focus. Washers, you know, screws and washers. So I got one up on top, you know, and then I put them down below, you know, on both sides too, screws and washers, to hold the tarps in place, basically. And then right over here is where I set up the vent for the RV furnace. The first time I set this up, you know, but before I put this in here, I had like a 3-inch duct inside the tent, right up against the edge, and as you can see right there, it was so hot it actually melted a hole right through the tarp there, and it did melt another hole through the tarp down low, right down there. That's actually right where the 3-inch pipe was coming out right here, so it melted it there because it was very hot, and it melted it over there too. So right now what I did is, now I've got it just ventilating like straight out of the furnace, and you know, I put some metal flashing on there too, so that it can't melt any more of my brand new tent. But you know, I went ahead and I put inside the tent, what I did is I put pallets like all around the perimeter. So I've got screws with washers, you know, kind of like almost all the way around the perimeter here, especially on these edges right there. you know, where these metal bars are at, I was able to use self-tapping screws to go right into the metal. Pretty much did that all the way around the tent except for in the front. Right now I'm in the back, but I've got screws. These screws are going down lower, going straight into pallets. Sorry, there's a motorcycle driving past. You know, and I've got more down low into the pallets low here too. In the summertime, you know, this thing has windows that I can actually open. There are screens in there. Some pallets over here. I went to the nursery in Port Townsend, the plant nursery, and they just give away free pallets. So all of the pallets that are inside this tent I got for free. And as you can see, I've got screws down low all the way around the perimeter, except for in the front section. This is where they stop right here, but this front section doesn't have any pallets. I do have screws for these, you know, side pieces in the front as well, but no pallets here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these extra 3 pallets I've got. I might have to give them away or take them back. All right, guys, thanks for watching my update video, and I'll see you next time I upload a video.